Hello and welcome to another Reaconteur video, and in today's video I will be going over every bell in Deepwoken in order from weakest to strongest, ranking them a little bit roughly. Make sure to subscribe since only about 20% of the people watching right now are actually subscribed, and also I'm currently live on Twitch right now, so come into the stream. Now let's get straight into it. Starting at the worst bell spot, we have Preservation. All this bell does is put knocked players into a bubble where they can't die, and once the bubble breaks they stand again. It only really exists to counter Blood Scourge or Reaper, which will be covered way later on this list because it's actually good. Now the bell can also be used to basically auto get up anyone by pressing C again, so it's alright utility. And the corrupted version is unbreakable, but it's like, why would you really need it to be unbreakable? Normally you're just going to press C and then press C again to get people up, so it's not that useful corrupted. So whatever the downside is, it's probably not worth it. Normally the bubble can be broken if hit, but the corrupted version can't be. But it's not like it matters, because you're probably going to be spamming C to get your teammate back up immediately anyway. Regardless, this bell is very situational. Now while it is the worst bell on the list, I still prefer it over Shardbow, because Shardbow might be the laziest made bell in the entire game. But I'll talk more about Shardbow later. I hate that bell, but I can't deny that it is pretty good. Next up is Resurrection, which is hard to rank because there's two variants, one being vastly better than the other, but it is better than Preservation on its base, but it still isn't that great. And it hurts me, because from a design aspect, this bell is really cool. When you get it, it obviously rolls points for range, duration, and between 3 types of resurrections. Upon usage, it generally puts an aura onto someone for 5 to 8 seconds based on the duration, and if they're knocked within this time, it brings them back to 40% health. But it's so hard to rank this bell because the variants are so good, because the True Resurrection variant is just really amazing. True Resurrection variant allows you to resurrect players who are already knocked, rather than putting an aura on someone who's about to be knocked. The non-true variant is bad because players can simply just not hit the person with the aura for 5 seconds. But the true variant basically just gives someone an extra life with no possible counterplay, making it super good for longevity in ganks and an amazing support bell. And for those of you who are wondering, the corrupted variant just gives more of those points I was talking about earlier, making the range and duration higher on average and making it more likely to have the true resurrection variant. There's also a variant where resurrected players are teleported to the bell user, but that one sucks just as much as the base bell, so I won't really cover it. Regardless, because I don't want to do 2 entries, Normal Resurrection is the second worst bell. True Resurrection is the best support bell, and in my opinion, like top 5 overall. But I'm not going to talk about it later, because I just don't want to. Next up is Smokescreen, and this bell, guess what it does? Can you guess? I'm going to give you 3 seconds to guess. 3, 2, 1. Did you guess that it makes a bunch of poison smoke everywhere that hurts people countering AoEs? Well, no, it's literally just a smoke screen. It's just a visual thing. It's not that bad, though, since it has a semi-blinding effect on people caught in it, so when you use it, you can catch people off guard, allowing for you to get a hit or 2 or land a mantra before they realize what's going on. It usually only works maybe like once or twice a fight, though, so don't try and fall back on it as a gimmick. It's gonna stop working against anyone with a brain. Next up is Portals, often referred to as Yoru. It allows the user to go invisible, become invincible, and intangible. You are faster as well in this, and if you have the die variant, double tapping C, which is the bell button, by base I think, will kick you up out of it, acting as an uppercut. And the corrupted version just makes it faster and longer, and for some reason you can carry people around, although they won't be invisible, so it's just kind of like, why would you do that? This is actually one of my least favorite bells in the game, but not my least favorite, which comes later, Shardbow. It's not very good, and then on top of not being very good, it also just feels super uninspired. Like, yeah, it's a Valorant reference, just like the next one. And they're both so boring. Which, speaking of the next one, is Run It Back, which could honestly maybe go higher in this list. It's commonly referred to as Phoenix Bell because it's a reference to Phoenix from Valorant, and it's actually pretty good. It sets a point where you're standing once it is activated, and then you become immune to all damage for its duration. If it's corrupted, you get hyper armor for the first 5 seconds as well, which is really good. And after the duration is up or you take enough damage, you return back to the set point, damage free. It's pretty good. It's just kind of fine. This and Portals are both inspired by Valorant, and they're very obviously made pretty early in the game's lifespan with how simple they are. And I hate both of them, honestly. Both designs just feel super dated, but this one's pretty good, so I hate it significantly less than Yoru. Next is Wind Up. This bell is really funny, or at least it used to be, and I love this bell. On use, it stores stacks of power, and your next M1 or physical mantra, so not magic mantras like Strong Left, well, the attack's damage is just multiplied. This is the first bell that can punish you for using it, and actually like the only bell in the game that'll ever punish you for using it. But regardless, if your multiplied attack gets parried, your posture basically gets massively stacked up, and it usually maxes out your posture bar, although you can't be guard broken by it, thank God. And also, if you max out your stacks, you can execute down players, which is good utility in ganks in the overworld and stuff. It used to be really funny when people would casually get one shot by corrupted windup when it first came out, but now it's just alright. And speaking of corrupted windup, it makes it so executing people on the floor is done with one stack instead of 3, so auto executions are way easier and way more convenient. Next up is Skeleton Key. This is actually a spec which was watered down into a bell. Anyway, with Skeleton Key bell, you can summon up to 5 walls normally. They push people away and can be broken with enough hits, which is decided based on the bell's points. Balls? Wait, why does it say balls in my script? Based on the bell's point usage. It also has a mechanic where pressing C again on a wall pushes it in a direction and forces players away from it. There's 2 wall variants, normal, which is normal, and spiked, which does damage, because putting spikes on a wall would probably make it hurt if it got, rammed into you really fast. The corrupted variant of the bell allows you to summon up to 7 walls, and they're constructed faster, and they have more points, so they probably have more health. Anyway, after Skeleton Key is Smite. On usage, it summons white orbs around you, which can be shot at people, and they do like 20 damage each by base. It's an alright pressure bell. The corrupted version adds homing shots, they do more damage, and it can sometimes proc status effects like Azure Flames, but this might just be a variant. It's very unknown at this point if it's a chance, or it has to do with the corruption, or if it's like a different bell variant, or maybe it's just a glitch because it's very inconsistent. Regardless, some status effects can sometimes carry over onto this bell. Next up is Jar of Souls. I love this bell. It is a reference to the Binding of Isaac Repentance DLC Jar of Souls item. Anyway, on usage, it sends out a beam. There are 2 variants for this beam, instant and continuous. The instant beam is just a shot with like concentrated energy that just goes out, hits people, that's it. While the continuous beam is a continuous beam that shoots out of you for a few seconds. Passively with this bell, you collect souls from dead players, which increases the beam's damage. The corrupted version gives it more points, and the points go into categories for range, auto execution if you can get it or can't, the beam type, and the soul multiplier, making each soul you get more or less powerful based on this multiplier stat. The continuous beam just does continuous damage, using souls over time for as long as you're using the beam, while the instantaneous one will just shoot out all of your souls, doing massive damage in one big burst. And sadly, next up is Shard Bow. This might be the laziest, most boring, uninspired, awful, terrible, ungodly, horrendous bell in this entire game. They made a mantra, buffed it a whole bunch, and called it a bell. Shard Bow in itself isn't problematic, but the fact that you literally could have taken Shard Bow and made it either an oath move or a mantra, and you turned it into a bell, made me lose so much hope in the devs. But then they dropped Gravity Field, so I was happy again. Regardless, Shard Bow, this piece of shit, is either 1 shot or 3 shots, which total more damage than the 1 shot, but individually do less damage to keep it balanced. Both variants do 100% true damage and bypass all armor with infinite penetration. Technically it's 100% penetration, but it just bypasses armor, so I mean there's things that can go above 100% armor. It's just it bypasses armor. That's all you gotta know. I don't want to get into the technical parts of it. Anyway, the corrupted version adds white flames that scale based on your intelligence, and it also gains additional damage if the user has Azure Flames for some reason. And Wyvern's Claw increases the damage by 10%. That's all you need to know about this piece of trash that should have never made it into the game. Next bell. And the next bell is Gravity Field. I don't care if you think Shard Bow is better, I hate it. Anyway, Gravity Field is a mini domain expansion in which everyone is either affected by less or more gravity depending on your bell's point usage. It also keeps players near the center, not allowing them to leave, and sucking in players outside if they get too close to its border. The corrupted version halves the duration but makes you immune to its effects, so it can be used to kind of just beat on people for like 10 seconds straight, while the normal one has a duration of 20 seconds. Either way, Gravity Field is pretty fun to use actually, and there's a lot of fun builds which can like abuse it with like domain expansions. Like if you've seen Agamatsu's True Ice Hell domain expansion, which uses Gravity Field, that's a lot of fun. Next up is Crazy Slots. You can tell it was early because it's kind of just poorly designed. I don't really like this bell. It kind of just forces you to change your playstyle based on whatever weapon it gives you. The weapons do have high base damage though, so don't worry about your stats that much. You're still doing good damage. The corrupted version changes the weapon's appearances, makes them more purple, halves the cooldowns, and makes you much more likely to get a weapon of your current invested stat. It's alright, but I just don't like it very much. It can be good in some builds, and some people do like it, and being able to mix up your playstyle can be useful for mixing up opponents, but I personally just don't really like Crazy Slots that much. It's also a Hunter x Hunter reference, and I shouldn't have to say anything about that. because I'm going to get crucified. Anyway, next up is Blood Scourge, commonly known as Reaper. When used, it will kill any players in its radius who are knocked. There are two variants: Normal, which is a great AoE around you, which the AoE size is dependent on points, and Throne, which is the worst piece of dog shit of a decent bell in this entire game. You see how, like, with Resurrection, it's a dog shit bell that has a really good variant? With this, it's the opposite. It's a really good bell that has a dog shit variant, being the Throne variant, which is beyond terrible, because now you have to focus on spacing to hit people with your bell. Maybe if it threw the AoE, like, and killed everyone within the range that you throw it, it would be really good, so that might be too strong. But as it is, the Throne variant sucks. The Corrupted variant allows you to charge it for 3 seconds, sending people to the depths regardless of whether or not their health bar is stained or not, which is pretty cool, because it can kind of just remove people from ganks entirely for a while. Reaper also heals you when it kills people, and the heal decision, like how much it heals you, is decided by points. It's pretty good, and it's very common, so if you have it and you don't have like good bells in your role, you might as well just take Reaper, because it's good. Next is Sacred Field, one of my favorite bells. Sacred Field can be set to affect either allies or everyone. It gives all those within it a resistance to either elemental or physical damage. Its range, resistance level, and duration are based on its points, like most things, and the color is random and free, doesn't take up a point. The area is also a sphere, not a grounded range, so it does go up quite a bit, which is good to know. The Corrupted version also follows you around instead of being a field, so it gives you and your allies way more freedom. This thing is overall really good for both PvP and ganks and PvE, because in PvE, having physical resistance means you're taking less damage from most monster attacks. In PvP, having either means either less damage from M1s or less damage from mantras. Both are good. And even some monsters do have, like, mantra or elemental attacks, kind of like the Sero that the lionfish have. So, I mean, I guess you can take less damage from that, but most elemental attacks done by mobs are super easy to avoid, so I'd prefer the physical resistance for a PvE build. Next up is Payback, another one of my favorite bells. Also a reference to 7 Deadly Sins, Meliodas' full counter. The Corrupted version of this bell is actually the best PvE utility in the game because of how PvE scaling works, making you basically heal your full health bar back against any monster with the Corrupted version. For those of you who don't know, the Corrupted version gives you lifesteal equal to 50% of the damage you do, and while monsters have thousands of health and you have maybe close to 500 max, you're getting healed a lot. Anyway, Payback has 4 normal variants, which is the most in the game. And these are variants, not point-based variants, which are very different. Some bells will have, like, attributes that can be given based on points, and some just have variants, which are given based on, like, the spawn. This, it's not entirely decided by points versus, like, Kamui, which I'll talk about later, which you can get, like, technically multiple variants in one because they're point-based. Anyway, the first variant instantly reflects all damage taken during the duration of the bell. In my opinion, this is, like, the worst one. The second variant multiplies all damage taken within its activation and then fires it out in a thin concentrated beam, which deals all the multiplied damage to anyone hit. Variant 3 takes all the damage taken and then only reflects all of it at the end of the bell's usage. I think this one is way better than the first one because a lot of the time if you hit someone and immediately take damage, you stop hitting them. People often don't realize they're hurting themselves by hitting you with the delayed variant until, you know, they just take all of their damage back at them, and they're like, oh yeah, maybe I shouldn't have hit with the green and black aura around the guy. And the fourth variant is a continuous beam rather than the instant beam, and it allows you to hit multiple people easily. This spell has a lot to it, and I love it. In my opinion, the 2 best variants are the delayed variant and the concentrated beam variant, with the fourth variant being a third, and the instant variant being the worst one easily. And now for legendary bells, and first up is going to be Dimensional Travel, also known and commonly known as Kamui. While many bells have variants, by the way, Naruto reference, based on luck, this one's variants are based on points, meaning you can get more than one at a time of what people thought at one point were variants, but are instead traits that your portal can inherit. The point categories in combat, usage, player capacity, and travel speed. The travel speed basically makes each of your steps multiplied by a certain base multiplier, which I estimate to be around 9 or 10. So 1 step in the Kamui dimension is 10 steps overworld. And then the travel speed multiplier, which is anywhere from about 1.33 times, or 33% increase, or a maximum of 6.33 times, or a maximum of 633% travel speed, making 1 step in Kamui estimated to be about 63 steps in the overworld at maximum. This bell is really cool. Legendary bells can't be corrupted, but they can be drowned, which is basically corrupted without downsides. Drowned Kamui, or Dimensional Travel, gives combat usage by default and gives more points put into travel speed and player capacity, which is overall really good, because this bell is really good, and it's also just a lot of fun to use, and it's a really cool novelty thing. Now next for Legendary Teleportation, commonly known as Flying Rajan. This is either a One Piece or a Naruto reference. I'm probably going to get that wrong, but I don't really watch anime. Pressing C while not hovering over any preset waypoints, if there are any, will place a marker, which you can teleport to on command by pressing C with your mouse hovered over it. This makes a radius and it charges up before teleporting depending on your teleport charge stat and the distance between you and the point. The drowned version gets preset waypoints in the luminant you're in and more points to go into these stats for charge speed, travel speed, which travel speed's not really that important, custom marker capacity, and total marker capacity. And that's all. Maybe Top Hop will come out with Layer 7 63 years from now, but as of now, that's every bell in the game, roughly ranked by power. Some of them are a little bit interchangeable, some of them kinda are completely different because of variants that I didn't cover, like Resurrection. Regardless, shout out to Jake Kenix, Cyberboy21, and Drizzy Drake fan. I love you all. If I miss anything, then leave it in the comments, or if I got a detail wrong, leave it in the comments. Goodbye.